Hey guys, welcome back to CPW Science Edition. This is the answers to round 5. Today we compared data from a simple data presentation. We identified differences between experiments. We predicted the results of an additional trial in an experiment. We determined which simple conclusion was consistent with the data presentation. And we understood a simple experimental design. We knew we were going to be successful when we determined which substance produced different results in the two given experiments. We identified the difference between two experiments. We predicted the results of an additional trial given new information. We summarized the results of an experiment, and then we justified the purpose of an experiment. Question number 1 asks, according to the results of experiments 2 and 3, which of the following objects produced different results in glycerin than in water? So I have to compare the results in tables 1 and 2. So the wood floated in both experiments, so that's not an option. The ice floated in both experiments, so that's not an option. Amber sank in the experiment with water, but floated in the experiment with glycerin, so that's a possible option. Rubber sank in the experiment with water and floated with the glycerin, so that's another possible option. And then the last two substances both sank in either water or glycerin. So my two possibilities here are amber and rubber. But according to my 4 options, amber is the only one listed, so B is the correct answer to number 1. Question number 2 asks, how did the design of experiment 3 differ from the design of experiment 2? So experiment 2 goes with table 1, and experiment 3 goes with table 2. So I see that the objects are the same, so D is not an option. They're all solid objects, so B is not an option. Water and glycerin are both liquids, so A is not an option, but water and glycerin are two different substances, so C is the correct answer to number 2. In question number 3, it asks, according to the results of experiment 2, which of the following solid objects would be predicted to float in water? So when an object floats, its density is going to be less than water's density, which was given to us as 1.0 grams per cubic centimeter. The only density listed that has a value less than 1.00 is A, where a piece of charcoal with a density of 0.55 grams per cubic centimeter. We would assume this would float in water. Question number 4 asks, in experiment 2, the objects that floated had densities that were what? So looking at experiment 2's data table, which is table 1, the two substances were wood and ice, and they both floated. Their density is 0.4 and 0.92 respectively. These are both less than 1.00 grams per cubic centimeter, which means that A is our correct answer for number 4. Question number 5 asks, what was the overall purpose of the experiment? So if you look at the data we collected for both tables 1 and 2, we collected not only their densities, but if they were floated or sank in two different substances. So B is an option to calculate the densities of solid objects, and C is an option to test how the density of a solid object affects its behaviors in different liquids. So because the data really focused on the results in water and the results in glycerin, that means C is the more correct answer to number 5. So to recap, our Science CPW answers for this week are 1B, 2C, 3A, 4A, and 5C. See you next round, guys.